Hey guys, it's Runchuks from Love the Spot. On this episode, our guest is Marianela Pereyra. She has a vast experience as a TV presenter, covering and hosting various sporting and music events. She did a full season of Poker After Dark, hosted WPT, Triton, and other events. Some of the things that we talk about are a peek behind the scenes of shows such as Poker After Dark, what's it like to interview a favorite poker superstars or cover the events at the featured tables and do those sad bust-out interviews. And we hear a lot of fun stories about people such as Doyle Brunson, Phil Hellmuth, Daniel Negreanu, Isildur, True Teller, Gus Hansen, and the list just goes on. So I do hope you enjoy this wide-ranging conversation. So let's go. Nella, thank you for coming to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you are officially our first guest, as far as I'm concerned. For sure, the first guest.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm so proud as well, because for us, we basically start very high up there in terms of the quality of the guests. So we're going to have to live up to high expectations, I suppose, now.
I'm sure that won't be hard.
Yeah. All right. So let's maybe give our viewers a quick overview of who you are.
Sure.
Do you want me
Yes.
to, or maybe, I mean, listen, it's your job. You are a TV person, so you're probably going to give a better introduction of yourself than I could ever do.
Oh, no, yeah, of course. Obviously, like, any questions or other, concerns, just interrupt me. But, yeah, I essentially have been doing TV for, oh man, I'm old. Like, that's now close to 18, 19 years. I started off in New York, hosting a live show for a company called Fuse. At the time, it was MTV's competitor. I mean, even to now, people are like, what's Fuse? Because like every year was the new Fuse. It was like, but we were constantly trying to compete with MTV. And it was a very cool gig. It was across from Madison Square Garden. It was floor-to-ceiling glass studio, so you could, right on 7th Avenue, so you could see right into the studio. And yeah, it was a lot of hard work because it was live every day. I did that for almost 5 years. They call that the golden handcuffs. So of course you're not going to complain about having a steady job, but it was, I mean, yeah, live TV. I only got 2 weeks off the entire year for 5 years. And it was a lot of fun. And it was interviewing the who's who in music, entertainment. And one thing that I really loved about Fuse is that I, along with Julia Chernetsky, who's Russian, and Dennis and Steven, we were the original Fuse VJs. So technically that was my title, the VJ. And we mainly interviewed musicians. And the coolest thing about Fuse is that they were very much into the underground scene. So it's like we were interviewing My Chemical Romance or Taking Back Sunday, anybody who knows these like emo bands, or alt punk bands. And then also, for example, I was the first person to interview 50 Cent before MTV got him, which was really an awesome experience. And then, so yeah, it was I think you needed to have a very like chameleon-like personality to do a show like that, because like one day I was interviewing, I don't know, Sarah McLachlan, who's like crying and sad about her dogs, which I get. And then the next day I was interviewing Eminem, who was like dry humping my leg, and he was there with G12 and everyone's like screaming. And the next day it's like Gwen Stefani, and then, I mean, Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson. I mean, it was just like all these crazy cast of characters. But it was obviously a lot of fun. And yeah, I started off doing live TV. So I'm used to live. So when you started off the podcast and said, hello, we're live, I'm like, yes, this is my jam. I've done a lot of pre-tape shows, obviously, since then, but I started live. And so it's kind of like, they put me right in the fire from day one on TV, and I loved every second of it. I still love live. It's my favorite format. And then while I was in New York, year 2 or 3 of the show, I also hopped on and did radio. on KLSX. KLSX was LA radio, on KTU in New York. And it was awesome. And I didn't think like I could be more prepared to do live TV after doing live TV. But really, radio, especially live, especially in New York, especially every night, it pretty much primes you for like anything in the future. So that's kind of like where I started. And then just really quickly, I started off doing entertainment. And then after I finished Fuse, I moved to California. And then I started into the world of sports. And the very first gig I did was the 2007 World Series of Poker. I was hired as the first female sideline reporter for that, with Ali Najad, Bill Gordon, and that was like, man, that was so long ago. I remember interviewing like Jamie Gold and all those characters back in 2007. Obviously, like Phil Hellmuth has always been a part of my poker life because yes, I'm also old like him. And Johnny Chan, like all those crazy characters from back in the day, even Devilfish, who, we miss him dearly. He was awesome. I have so many clips with Devilfish, and it was a really cool start. And that's kind of how I catapulted into the world of poker. I remember the final table lasted like 19 hours. It was gruesome. It was like boot camp, because I also just didn't do the final table live. I did like the whole 30 days of coverage up until that. So also doing all the celebrity events, which was so much fun, with like Brad Garrett and like Everybody Loves Raymond guy. I mean, the whole cast. And oh my God, I'm totally blanking out on the guy from Seinfeld. Wow. Brain fart. But anyways, yeah, it was just really cool doing all that. But it was the most gruesome experience of my life, because it was 30 days covering every single event up until like the final event. And then after that, that's when I launched into Poker After Dark. I did season 3 of that. Then I did season 10 of the World Poker Tour. Then I did a myriad of like Latin American Poker Tour stuff. I also did some stuff in the Bahamas with Poker Stars. And actually just recently, like years later, I did the Triton event in London. That's kind of just an brief of the poker world. And then in the midst of all that, yes, a lot of TV. I spent 4 years at ESPN doing college football. They shipped me to Bristol to do a live entertainment show. And then I did a lot with Travel Channel. And then I did my own show for VH1. So I don't know, it's been a lot. I've kind of been all over the place, but sports was a big thing, because when I did the ESPN run, I did a college football show, and then I went to Fox Sports and I did a NASCAR show. That's why to this day, kind of sometimes when people see me in the States, they're like, where do I know you from? I always ask them, like, what are you into? NASCAR, poker, or like music, because sometimes I'll get a random message where they're like, oh my God, you're Marianela from Fuse. And some people have no idea what that is. And they'll be like, wait, weren't you on that NASCAR show with Rutledge Wood from Top Gear? And I'm like, yep. So anyways, very crazy, weird years of TV, but a lot of fun. And I think that's enough of an intro.
Right.
Everyone's not sleeping by now.
No, because viewers are actually asking questions already. So let's start off with Robbie is asking, which sport did you enjoy the most?
I gotta say, I'm Soy Argentina. We're in Argentina now. I'm Argentina. Obviously a Messi fan, but I'm also a Dybala and Lautaro and like many other player fan. For me, football is in the blood. Like that's my number one sport. But at ESPN, that wasn't much of an option. I mean, it's not that it wasn't an option. Like we covered obviously like big games, but it was more the college football scene that I was focused on. And I didn't think I would like it as much, but I think it was being there live. You got to remember, I mean, I was shipped all over the country at the greatest college football games of the land. And it was just like, what? To be in Alabama, Roll Tide, like to be on the sidelines in Oregon, let's go Ducks. I mean, that all of the places I went all over the States for these huge college football games. One thing is seeing the game on TV, and the other thing is being there live. And I didn't I think the cool part about my job was that I don't know if, I'm sure the viewers are familiar with like Game Day, ESPN's Game Day. It's huge and it covers college football. So our show wasn't like the X's and O's of Game Day, but it was all the behind the scenes. So I would like get to campus and like coach and I would go and bake cookies and like bring them to the players, or I'd go eat like a bucket of wings with like the linebackers, or it was a lot of behind the scenes stuff and a lot of like on the ground stuff, like on game day with the fans, the tailgating, all the madness. So, I mean, how could you complain about that job? And the cool thing is we had this sick RV. It was super decked out. It had like, I don't know, a PlayStation, an Xbox. It had like all these game consoles in it. It even had like beer taps on the outside. And it was this like super decked out RV. And even though we would usually fly from place to place, when we got to the college, we would hang out. That would kind of be our home base. Yeah, and the schedule was gruesome, just like it was in poker. Like I was doing 10 to 12 hour days and I was traveling all the time. And then just when I thought that wasn't a crazy schedule, I started covering NASCAR, which is like, holy shit, that's like a traveling circus. It's like I was on the road 8 months out of the year. So yeah, I kind of just like lived on the road doing a lot of sports coverage. I even did like a really fun show called Best Damn Tough Man for Fox Sports. It's basically boxers that aren't boxers, but that like want to be boxers.
Wannabe boxers.
I remember this one guy was like called like Gary the Garbage Man, and like that was like his like stage name. And I was like in the ring with him, and he was just like, "Man, I told you I was gonna knock these fools out." And I'm just like, "Wait, this is the best job ever." These guys are like sweating on me, and I was just like so happy. The producers are like, "Are you sure you feel safe in the ring with these guys?" I'm like, "Oh, I this is the best job I've ever had."
Oh wow! So it's not much different than poker, right?
Oh my god, poker. I mean, you would think like after so many years of, no offense to professional poker players, you are all celebrities in your own right. But it's like when you interview freaking Metallica. And then I started Poker After Dark. And yeah, man, it was a little rough to deal with these personalities, I'll just put it. You know, it's just, I think you guys know, you and Tobi are poker players. Honestly, I feel like you guys, especially Tobi, I'm like, what? If I'm like walking by and I see him in a hand and something outrageous happens, like the person hits a 2-outer on the river, I'm like screaming and throwing stuff. Mainly because I'm Latin, but also because I just do not have like the capacity to just remain calm, even if I understand variance, and I don't care about variance. This guy's an idiot, and like, obviously I'm not like, you know, made to be a professional poker player, but you guys keep it pretty calm. But yeah, I mean, I'm dealing with personalities where it's like 1 second they're just like da, 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 and everything's perfect and like the sky's blue and roses are red, and the next moment it's like death, you know, like just, oh, I'm so depressed, everything sucks, the world's terrible, and you're just like, what? And I have to like interview these people, and that's the hardest part. It's like I had to do so many bust out interviews my whole life in poker, and it's just the most dreadful, god-awful part of my job.
I got a question here.
No.
Do you think that's something that has changed over the years? Like, is there a new generation and, you know, players take it easier nowadays?
No, there's a new generation of hoodies and sunglasses and like Harry Potter scarves, which maybe wasn't before, but I still encounter the same, you know, sometimes tough personalities, because especially like, I don't know, like I've been around poker for a long time, and I'm thinking like, dude, call me in 7 years when you're still playing poker, because I feel like a lot of people, like, again, you know, I'm not trying to be mean, it's not everyone, like there's some lovely people in poker, but some of these guys are so inflated and there's so much ego, and it's like they're on a throne, and it's like, talk to my people, and I'm like, I don't want to talk to your people, I don't give a shit. Dude, I interviewed Slash, like, who are you? I mean, you do deal with a lot of that. At least I did deal with some of that. But in general, everyone's been super sweet and kind to me. But I also think it's because I'm a chick, which is a whole nother thing about, like, being in the poker world. I mean, there's a reason I didn't stick around for too long, because I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to get into crazy politics because I don't want to get sued. But like, yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, I'm just like a no bullshit person, and I don't mind like putting on a dress, showing up for the job. But, you know, I mean, hello. I'm like, I work with ESPN. I'm like repped by CAA and William Morris. Like, everything's super professional on my end. And of course, I don't want to do a Sports Illustrated cover with like, you know, tits hanging out. It's just not for me. I did an FHM shoot, and even that was like a nightmare. I was so scared. I did a Maxim shoot, and it was like the most horrifying thing of my life. I looked like Zoolander. I mean, I'm just not comfortable being like the sexy girl. So, quick story, I actually lost a couple really big jobs in Hollywood because they would Google me, which I'm sure whoever listening to now is going to do. And it was awful. Like, they would Google me and be like, oh, yeah, we were going to hire Marianela to cover the ESPN Little Leagues, the worldwide event, blah, 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 and fly her in. But, yeah, the thing is Disney, because ESPN is Disney, wasn't comfortable because when the execs Googled her, like, you know, she's, like, showing her, like, you know, big boobs. And I was like, okay, first of all, you clearly don't know me because I don't have big boobs. That's Leanne Tweeden. And second of all, I've never done like a Playboy shoot. Like, none of these are me. But like when you Google me, pictures of Leanne Tweeden and Shauna Hyatt come up. And so it's just like, anyways, it was a little bit of a, it's just not who I am. Like, I love poker. I love talking to people. Obviously, Maury Escandani, when he saw me do the World Series, he was like, okay, ESPN hired her. There's obviously some like expertise there, even though I'll be honest, it's like, of course, I was just learning the game. But I mean, yeah, I knew about poker. I mean, I was playing it, but not at that level. But you have to be able to, you know, report live, especially live at that level. But yeah, then I would run into things where it's like, I noticed I just wouldn't get the call. And it's like the next person up to bat was just like this super whatever, big boobed or not, but just willing to show more person, you know? So anyways, I encountered a lot of that situation, which I wasn't a big fan of. So I was like, I love the game. I don't love this part of it. And I'll just, you know, if they need somebody to actually handle live TV, then I guess they'll call who they need to call. And I would get the call for that. And I'm very grateful for it. But yeah, I have to be honest, like some of the shenanigans like off screen, like weren't always like the most pleasant. But, you can tell I've got, you know, pretty, I mean, I'm used to like being with I did the ESPN and Fox Sports. I was always like around guys and sports and all that. So it's not, I'm not very sensitive with that topic. I don't get offended easily. But yeah, there was one situation in Poker After Dark where, yeah, there was an issue.
I guess you can't drop names, right?
I'd rather not because, yeah, but.
Because we're all going to get sued. Let's face it.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, people would definitely know him. I mean, you don't see him like in the circuit as much, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything like dramatic either. It was just more of like, you know, there was touching involved, and it wasn't anywhere. It was like on my leg. It wasn't anything like, whoa, like crazy, but it was still like made me super uncomfortable. But the cool thing is, I mean, I remember Maury Escandani like stopping production and being like, "That's it, I'm gonna go deal with this situation," and that I adored and loved. So he was always so great, and yeah, in general, like a lot of the people I've worked with were pretty cool. You know, some of the producers were, you know, maybe not the coolest, but in general, in my TV career, I've been so grateful and blessed, and it's been really awesome.
So, but poker was your least favorite?
It was more of, not necessarily, because that's the thing. Like, I could rail for 15 hours and stay excited. I think that's where that's why I kept getting calls to cover poker, because there was genuine excitement and interest, and also in getting to know the players, and I knew so many of the players. I think what was really hard for me, like if you go to my Instagram now, you're like, who the hell is this girl? She's like in mountains and like, what? This is the same person that did like sports and poker. But it's true. Yes, I have different interests, people. But it is true that I'm very drawn to a much more outdoor life, adventure, like nature, travel, sightseeing. And the best thing about poker is that it was one of the few things I did in TV that allowed, that's where I met Tobi in Prague the first time, even though he totally didn't speak to me and he was like so awkward. But it's fine.
No, that's not true.
It's totally true. And then we met again in Barcelona. But for example, like a lot of the shows in the States, I mainly did TV in the States. It was like NASCAR. Yeah, we were going to Bumble Town, I don't know where, like in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest. I was always stuck in the States. And so things like the LAPT and even the last run I did with Party Poker, we were great because at least it granted me like this international travel. So I would go. What I hated about poker, and now I'm finally getting to your question, is that, I'm stuck indoors. When I got to Rosvadov, I swear to God, I walked into the casino. This is not even an exaggeration. I did not leave the casino, as in like fresh air, for 12 days. Because I was covering the 36-hour cash game first. And then I was just like all this insane stuff, like all the coverage was.
Yeah, but there's also not much to see there.
It doesn't matter, even
there's not much around.
Air. Yeah, I know they're probably that's where they stash bodies, who knows? I'm just like, what is this place?
To be honest, I think that's what they want. They don't want the people to leave the casino. They
no,
want them to play there. And
I'm just saying as a host.
It's their strategy.
Yeah, it works.
And it sucks for everybody, to be honest.
Yeah,
even as a player, it's just.
Okay, that's a particular, you're right. There, you don't really want to go anywhere else, but you do have Prague, right next door. But I guess I'm just getting at, the hours are incredibly long, and it's like you're working with this, fluorescent dim casino, lots of air conditioning that they're pumping through for, strategic reasons. And I don't know. I just love the fresh air and, farming and, fresh vegetables and whatever. So, obviously, being in California was great. But the moments that I had to cover poker were really hard because in almost every situation, I am stuck inside a casino for hours on end.
All right. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to put up the visuals of your Twitter so that people can actually see, how to get in touch with you, etc., etc. But why I'm doing this is because you're talking about your love for outdoors, fresh vegetables, etc., etc. That's what your no show is about, right?
Well, that's actually what my whole brand, what I decided to do 4 years ago is I started The Foodist, which is just a play on words, but it's food and Buddhism. And my whole philosophy actually is you can be eating kale till it's coming out of your ears, but if your thoughts are toxic, you're not a healthy person. So the whole philosophy behind me starting that brand was explaining that what feeds you is a lot more than what's on your plate. But yes, I'm certified in holistic health, and it was very important for me to kind of follow that. So what I started to do as of late is a lot more work with tourism boards, and I did a lot of shows for T-Spain and Matador Network, where I actually, it's not that I'm not doing TV anymore, I'm just being a lot more selective about the stuff that I do. Now, while I was in London, I covered the Triton event, which was, yes, it was arduous, it was insane, but it was great. My good buddy Ali was there, and Nick Schulman was there, and all these guys, everyone with that, that is in the scene right now is there, and it was a lot of fun, and it was 3 days. So even though those 3 days were insane, and the prep work for that was insane, it was just 3 days of work and great money, and then that's it. And then I just stayed in London and kept it moving. So now I'm just a lot more selective about what I do. So right now, I'm basically focusing on more travel shows. So fingers crossed, if I book another one coming up soon, I would shoot in California. But yeah, I'm being a lot more selective about what I do because I've just gotten to the point where there's just this phrase that I actually, the comedian Chris D'Elia, who is one of my favorites, and he was just like, I don't want to do what I don't want to do. And I'm kind of there because I'll be honest, I've been pretty lucky in my career. I've done super cool shows with super cool people. And every once in a while I'd have to do a show where I'm like, meh, wasn't crazy about it. But now I'm just kind of in a place where I love to write, and I want to focus more on the blog and the travel and the health stuff. And I've been getting opportunities I don't know, I guess like serendipitously or the synchronicity of it, that's a word that I just made up. It's just been in sync where the shows have been coming up that are a lot more travel related. And obviously I don't think it's an accident. I mean, that's what I'm focusing on. Like I haven't used Twitter, although I did cover the Women's World Cup this summer. I totally forgot about that while Tobi and the boys were in Vegas. I did the Women's World Cup and Copa America, which was huge, which is a really big deal for me as being Argentine. So I totally forgot that I did that. But yeah, I was at Universal Studios doing that live show for NBC in Telemundo. And that was amazing because it was football. So
I mean, that was just a dream job, right?
It was.
Basically, your job was to watch football all day.
That was my job.
And the right kind of football as well, not the American one.
Right. That's why I say football. Yeah, I didn't want to say soccer.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I mean, being a poker player, it's a dream job, but I feel like that's even better,
Well, I don't know. Not many people would say being a poker player is a dream job.
No?
Nah, I don't think so.
I think a lot of people would say so.
Well, I think I want to be a poker, like a star, like a poker, being on that level of poker celebrity. But I think it was cool because Tobi's such a huge fan of football, and then I'm sitting here in a house full of Germans that are obviously like, Johnny, all these guys, like, Eamon, huge like football fans as well. So, I mean, we were doing prop bets in the morning before they would go off to like the Rio to start playing. And we would like watch the games together. I mean, some of us, we would, sometimes it would just be Andy and I just watching games.
And there were so many discussions because the VAR was there so many times.
Oh my God, freaking VAR. What a death to the game. Jesus.
We had so many discussions about, penalties and fouls, and it was super funny. Especially in the female World Cup, there were so many stupid fouls, and we disagreed a lot because sometimes it was just stupid, but that was so much fun.
So guys, how about we talk about, you mentioned you like doing great shows and you've been on some great shows, so how about we talk about the great show of Poker After Dark? Can you give us more info about what's happening behind the scenes? Like, how is it done? How much of it is scripted? How does it actually look like?
Yeah, it's actually we shot when I did season 3 of Poker After Dark. We shot it at South Point Casino, and again, the schedule is gruesome, but it was, I believe, 13 days of like 13-hour days, and then you're done, and it's like the whole season shot. But you got to put in a lot of work. Obviously, it depends what different personalities are there during, like, which episodes. But in general, they try to keep it as, like, they try to keep the atmosphere, like, as relaxed as possible for the players. I come in, I'm very used to teleprompter, so there would be, like, intros that I would do on prompter very quickly because I was very used to doing prompter stuff, so that wouldn't take time at all. And then, like, that's it. 20K in the middle, 120 winner take all, and like the game would begin. The toughest part for me was the delay. I've got the IFB in my ear. I can't really see the action because I'd have to be on literally like at the table to be able to see what's going on. So I'm relying on the producer to feed me information about what's happening during which hands. And then all of a sudden they'd throw me a line like, Negreanu's coming to talk to you. X and X happened, he lost 4 pots against Hellmuth or whatever. He's steaming. He's so annoyed, whatever. So they would just give me like bits of information, and then it was just me live chatting with the player. Doyle was on the show, and that was fun. I remember, like, in his honor, I like wore a cowboy hat one day for the show. I love Doyle. He's so sweet. And then, so many different personalities. Man, there were so many different people on the show. I'd have to, like, of course, Phil Ivey. I remember, like, Phil Ivey busting from the show and then leaving and saying he's gonna go play craps. He, like, came back. like 6 hours later, and he was just like, yeah, I just lost 100K in craps, which at the time, I mean, already I was just like, what? These numbers are outrageous, because I'm just like a normal human, mere mortal. And there's a lot of prop betting that goes on. I remember with Phil Hellmuth in particular. Oh man. I mean, apart from like, yeah, him having some outbursts here and there, I remember quite a few, like, Maury! Like screaming, like getting up from the table, refusing to finish to do the show, and poor Maury had to come down and like soothe him, and like, but I have to be honest, like Phil Hellmuth with me was always super nice, such a sweetheart, like, and not in a creepy way, just super, super nice. And one day we were filming, and I'm like finishing makeup. I go on set, and it's just him, just sitting there, and he's like bopping his head, and I'm like, oh, and he's got his like headphones on, and I'm like, hey, like, Phil, what are you listening to? And he goes, rolling down the street, smoking in town, sipping on gin and juice, laid back. And I almost died, because it was like the last thing I would think of is Snoop Dogg, you know? So anyway, that story always stood out because, yeah, he's a funny character. But yeah, we had everyone from like Chris Ferguson to Johnny Chan. That was the whole World Champions week on Poker After Dark. Yeah, I don't know, a lot of old school names that you don't see that much anymore. Of course, Gavin Smith, and that was really sad when he passed. He was always so kind, so sweet, also not in a creepy way. I have like a picture of me, or actually where he's like squeezing me, where it does look like he's like, it looks awkward, but he was such a teddy bear, such a sweetheart. I mean, I gotta be honest, it's like, yeah, there was always a lot of drinking. I mean, he always smelled of alcohol, but as a person, amazing, just an amazing person. I was really sad when I heard about his passing. Mike the Mouth, you know, I mean, like, what can you say about the guy? It's like 1 second he's just like la da da, and the next day it's like rah. He's like an old dinosaur or something. So, yeah.
But I guess those characters are great for TV, right?
Yeah, they are.
That's what you want to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to see that. And I think Negreanu is like a great personality for TV. Even the Unabomber. Phil Locke, and yeah, all these guys. I remember they did like a 19th hole week, and like Eric Lindgren was playing, like big, like, you know, golf fans. So it was like Ivy, Doyle, Daniel, even David Oppenheim. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the, I don't know, like, you know, a lot of the maybe newer listeners might be like, I mean, they must know Doyle and Phil, but like, you know, who are these people?
It's so funny to listen to all the stories now, because, you know, when I was playing 510 online, that was exactly what I was watching and reading about, and it's just so fun to hear all the stories again. What about you, Valens? Did you watch a lot of Poker After Dark?
No, I mostly watched the High Stakes Poker. I really loved it.
Yeah, it's a great show.
It was a great show, and it's more about the personalities, you know, because if we think about it, poker is boring. Well, at least to me. Like, to watch it on TV, I can't stand it. I never watch, like, the hand being played, and then it's just fucking boring. But with those guys, you know, Negreanu having a rant, or, you know, doing his mind-reading tricks, Phil Hellmuth doing his thing always, right? And when you saw Farha and Elezra going at each other, it was so much fun. And how much of these actually encounters, was any of that sort of, well, not scripted, obviously it wasn't scripted, but how much of it was encouraged?
No, I mean, we had to do zero encouragement. This is like 100% true. I mean, these guys are wild personalities. And you got to be ready to deal with the wrath sometimes. Like, sometimes they're just a delight and hilarious and amazing. And other times you're just like, get this guy a doctor. He's gonna die. I mean, I don't know. They're just so dramatic, and it's just like, oh, the world's coming to an end. But there was, we had to encourage very little. I mean, really, because we're talking about like people like Scotty Wynn and like Johnny Chan and Hellmuth. I had to physically stand in the middle of them so they wouldn't kill each other. I was there. I mean, we did all the live tapings. There was nothing where the producer came out and was like, hey guys, if you could heckle each other a bit more. No, there was none of that. I would tell you, I'm that kind of person. There was none of that. They were so full of personality. I do feel like there's a difference in that regard now, where it's like, I'm just flashing back to like even Triton. And I understand there were some, language barriers. And I mean, although, Bryn he got tons of personality, but even now, like you just witness some of these final tables and it's like you're watching paint dry. I mean, just like, oh man, I happen to disagree. I'm actually a huge, because I also like want to learn and I'm very curious. And I don't know if it's the psychology background, but I actually find poker super fascinating to watch. I know that I come from entertainment, and I know that's why people have to entertain, and that's why people like Tonka do great, because they're willing to put themselves out there, put their face out there, and they're just fucking funny, and they're just being themselves, and of course they're playing poker and they're sharing it with the world. So there's a lot of value in that, and the personality factor matters. But me personally, I think if you're a lover of the game, it's like I want to see like every meticulous move this person's about to make, because I'm like dying with curiosity to see what they're holding. But again, I understand. I mean, I've been in the poker world forever, and there's people that feel just the same way you do. Like, this is the worst. I would never watch this on television. Maybe because I'm trying to also get into the players' heads and kind of understand their motive and see how they behave. So I don't know, that part's definitely fascinating to me. Or even like Tobi, when he's playing, I'm just like, who is this person? He's like the Terminator. He's literally so scary. And then like you meet him in person, he's like a teddy bear. But I remember like Maria Lampropoulos first, when we first started going out and people started to find out, and I remember her first telling me like, oh, Tobi's so sweet. She's like, but he's so scary at the table. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I bluffed her big time.
I know, she was pissed. So yeah, I don't know. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, I'm just laughing here off the mic because I didn't want to be too loud.
We're like breaking the internet. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, listen, I even lost my train of thought. I had, what because that whole thing. Well, have you seen any Twitch shows actually? Because now there's a new thing of like online poker is becoming entertainment in some ways. Have you seen any of that at all? And what do you think about it if you have?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I know Tonka's not Twitch, right? He's on YouTube.
I think
he is
also on Twitch.
Okay, I gotta be honest. Like, I'm not big on I feel like you can only put all of your energy. I'm already like I kind of stopped paying attention to my Twitter account, even though I check it every once in a while. So if anyone wants to write, I will of course see it eventually. But yeah, I put all my energy on Instagram. But yeah, I think it's kind of, with how big gaming is, I almost feel like it's kind of necessary. And it depends what your goal is. Like, if your goal is to just become like a phenomenal poker player, I think it can be a little distracting to focus on like all the marketing efforts that have to come with all these other bits, like setting up even a podcast or whatever, like people that do it regularly that are just constantly live showing their stuff. I think it's hard. I think that very few people, like there's, what's his name, Nando?
Yeah, Nandez.
I mean, Nandez,
I think his name is Fernando,
yeah.
Adega.
Yeah. He's obviously like a phenomenal PLO player. And I think you really gotta like it. He's like nailed down how to produce, deliver, and just boom, export all these like basically videos, you know, and that's what you got to do. Consistency increases popularity. It depends again, like what the goal is. But now, yeah, if you're looking for sponsorship, if you're looking to create a bigger name, if you're not willing, I mean, I'm even going to get on you guys now a little bit, but I told Tobi this, and I know you asked about putting video on today, but if you could see the state of me, I'm like basically wearing like boxers and like a sports bra. Like I'm in no shape.
That's the video people wanna. That's the people wanna see that. Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I have my hair like in like a pony clip, and then I'm wearing like a pink sports bra and like.
You know how many views that would have got us? It's incredible.
I know. I'll think about it for next time. No, but I always tell Tobi, like, yeah, you guys, because I did a podcast for a while. It was called Talking Ship Podcast with a good buddy of mine who lives in Texas, Tom Arguello. Just quick backstory. Yeah, it was all about health, but he had cancer, cured himself naturally, and he was like Mr. Texas. I mean, he was like, it's beer in Texas, baby, like eating ribeye steaks, drowning himself in beer. He got very sick, he got cancer, and then he like just went full holistic, all plant-based. Anyways, he really healed himself, but he's really into like meditation and mindfulness. And anyways, he's at the Green Health Project on Instagram, and like I plugged him before my Instagram because he's just awesome. And we couldn't keep up with the podcast because my travels got insane. But yeah, it requires a lot of work. And even though I really do know a lot on the marketing, you know, social media front, because I've done it for so many years, and I already knew that like it would be so much more beneficial if we were willing to show our face. But it was a nightmare. Like sometimes I would be in Israel doing a podcast from like the inside of a closet in a hotel. Like it just wasn't optimal for me to do video. But people like, you know, Tonka or somebody, people that have their setup where it's just like you have your setup, the more consistent you can be, like really, the more you're going to grow. But the more you're willing to show your face, then people really start to connect with you because I mean, just look at Joe Rogan. Of course, his podcast is well on like autopilot with you half asleep and like third REM listening to it like Tobi does, like in the middle of the night. You're still gonna like tune into the Joe Rogan podcast. But just the fact that like you know Joe Rogan, like you've seen him, like he puts himself out there. Obviously, who doesn't know Joe Rogan at this point? But you know what I mean. I don't know. That's just kind of my advice. If you're, you know, it really depends like what your goal is. If you want to be like, you know, if you're trying to be like truth teller status or whatever and just be a complete maniac or like Nikita, or you just really want to just kill the game, then it's like you're much better off putting all your energy into like an insane amount of study and playtime, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because I think there are two sides. Do you want to entertain or do you want to
make money?
No, not about that, but you know, I like high stakes poker because that's where I wanted to get. You know, one day they were playing for absurd amounts of money, and it was very entertaining. You know, a lot of characters, and you know, sometimes I watch some videos because I want to learn something. But what I don't get is, you know, watching somebody playing No Limit 200. You know, you don't learn that much, and it's also not that entertaining, so I don't really get it. So, yeah, that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, but you see what, for example, if you see any of Lex's Twitch shows.
Yeah, I was going to mention him because he was at the Triton event too. Yeah.
Right. I think he's amazing. You know,
yeah, he is.
I mean, I watched. He's the only Twitch guy that I watched for more than 3 minutes. Okay, so
yeah.
that's like he's top of the list for me.
Okay, but
still boring.
Or do you think?
No, I don't think you can learn a lot. Like, you know my opinion, even on just watching videos, right? I mean, sure you can learn some. I mean, if you know, just sit in your garden and watch the stars for 50 years, you are bound to learn something about the stars, but you're better off going to university, taking an astronomy class, right? So you're gonna learn something by watching a Twitch stream of a guy playing every day for 7 or 8 hours, sure. But if you really want quality, then it's, you know, It's not the medium. But I think Lex is so entertaining, though.
He is, and I think he still obviously offers some real quality. I mean, you know, he's a good player, and like his commentary, I mean, people loved him in the Triton stream, and then we had Ali Najad and Nick Schulman, and they're just a fantastic pair. So you're getting, you know, quality and entertainment, both things. I think it's rare, it's hard, but it's out there. It's far few and in between. So yeah, some people are just complete clown acts that are just, you know, they want to be stars. It's obvious, like it's clear that's what they want, and good for them. And if they're willing, because it takes a lot of work to like record yourself every day, put yourself out there. But that's really, if you want to grow as far as like social media numbers or whatever, you got to be willing to show your face, and you got to be willing to be crazy consistent, like crazy. Like it doesn't happen like even in a year or two. I mean, it's like nonstop. So it's something that you really need to like, and that's why I think Hernandez does so well too. And obviously he's super smart and has created like, because he has like, you know, tutorials and stuff like that, right? Or packages.
Yeah, he started with the course on upswing poker, I think, and then he built his own empire and started his own site.
Yeah, but you can also, the thing about him is that he got very niche specific. It's like, here's this game that I've like, you know, that I'm mastering. I don't want to say mastered because I don't think anyone's mastered anything ever, because it's constantly changing, and even the computers have to change. But you know, here's somebody who's like crazy focused on this one niche area of poker, PLO, and he clearly really loves to teach it. And you know what? He's good at it, because some people are amazing at the game, but they just maybe aren't the best teachers. Or some people are amazing teachers, but they're like, meh, like they're never really gonna make it to a final table. Or like, you know, I don't know. Every situation is kind of different, but yeah, he's a great example of somebody who really came out and like knew what he was. Just like, I want to expose myself because I want to start selling courses and I want to help people improve their game. And like the best way to do all of that is to like put yourself out there, give a little bit of free information, and then, you know, hold the golden nuggets for the course or whatever. Or much like, you know, Adams, like if people can tune into the podcast, and I feel like you and Tobi, from what I've heard of the podcast, like, you know, you guys give a lot of information. I would always say sometimes too. No, I'm just kidding. Too much information. But
the podcast is too powerful.
Yeah, as your manager, I would suggest holding back. No, just kidding.
Hey! We
yeah,
didn't say how much is the management fee now. We didn't agree on anything yet.
Oh, the management's always 10%, but we'll talk about that later.
Shit.
I'll do like a sliding scale fee, or depending if you guys are like on a losing streak or something. But no, but then of course
very
people
kind of you.
if they really want to get serious. The thing is, like, the number one thing is like, I tune in, here's this guy Adams, and now his little like partner in crime, Tobi, and it's like they really get to know you guys. I think step one, that's like super important. Step two, it would be nice to like put a face to it. But step three, like for people that really want to get serious and like really want to get to the level that you guys are at, then it's like, yeah, then it's like to have the ability to coach with someone like you guys is pretty awesome for somebody like starting out. So a lot of people are obviously trying to take that route. I think for some people it's supernatural, for other people not so much. I remember when I was like training in Vegas last year, because I'm obsessed with sit and goes. I love them, I adore them, I've always played them. But of course, when I was playing them back in the day, like Tobi looks at me and he's like, no, that's like 2010 poker. We're in 2019. I'm like, ah, it's like, you know. So he's like, you gotta study this course. It's bencb's course. And I was like, okay. Listen, I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back here. I'm a mega nerd. Like, I graduated cum laude 3.85 from the University of Maryland. Total nerd, straight A student. Like, but sitting, and I love to study. Like, absolutely love it. But sitting down and listening, poor bencb, he's gonna hate me. But so listening to his course, I mean, I didn't know if I wanted to jump out of the window or just, like, I don't know, right there, just like smash myself into the wall. Like, it was just, I couldn't, it was so hard to get through. Like, it was so boring, and it wasn't engaging enough, and it was man, I really struggled. Like, I wanted to learn. I know that his information is like top too, but I couldn't do it. I'm like, I can't. I can't.
Yeah, see, to me, it's just part of being a good poker player. Sometimes you have to do things you don't really want to do, and studying or memorizing ranges is part of that.
No, I get that, but there's people that like, I mean, it depends. Like, that's why people do well in different types of classes, settings, and with different types of teachers. Like, what's the other course you were taking? I'm totally forgetting this name.
I mean, basically, I have all the courses.
I know. But, oh my God, what's his name? There's so many poker players. Sorry, guys, I was like, blank out.
Petrangelo?
Yeah, Petrangelo. It's like, okay, it's the same deal. He's like Mr., Pio Pio Pio. Like, I mean, he's making you do all the hard work, but I think it's the way that he presents it. There's also video. He's talking to you. I mean, it's going to go inside my brain more because it's more personable, Anyways.
Yeah, but usually the videos are about all the concepts, and then you still have to learn it. You still have to look at all the charts. And,
No, I get that, but it's like bencb was talking about concepts, and all I could hear was his voice, and I was just like, I had no idea what was happening. I felt
it's so rude.
But it's the truth. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real.
It's so funny when Tobi is slightly upset and saying it's so rude.
It's so rude.
That should be the name of our show.
It's so
rude.
Yeah, it's so rude. And then we have to live up to that. That name every week.
Super mean.
Yeah, we have to insult somebody.
Yeah. So speaking of insulting somebody, people who you interviewed, let's say probably in the World Series or the WPT is a better example because the Poker After Dark is more of a show, but you had a lot of those bust-out interviews, etc. How do people fare on camera in the interview in general? Because some of them, and I don't mean people who got there once and never been on camera again, but some of them are all the time in all those tournaments and they do a lot of interviews. Mm-hmm. How are they? Can you give them an advice? Can you save them? Some of them?
I wish I could save them. It really, I think that for people that are just really good at the game and that are consistently showing good results, because I've interviewed them at this final table, and then again I see them at this final table, and then again I see them at this final table, and that, I mean, they're just exceptional poker players. That doesn't mean that they're going to be exceptional interviewees, and most of the time they aren't, I think that it's really hard for some of these guys that feel massively uncomfortable in front of cameras. They're poker players. That's what they are. Some of the guys are really cheeky. It's like, during the World Poker Tour, Will the Thrill Faella. I mean, the guy's amazing. He's like, hey, forget about it. He's like Mr. New Jersey, New York. I mean, the guy is just a bucket of laughs, and he's such a ham. He loves the camera, loves it. But those are far few and in between. Like, I had to interview Truth Teller, and like, I wanted to tell him that like it was okay to like speak. And like, I mean, it was almost like, yeah, it's sometimes it's really hard. And, some people like just run away from me and they just, I mean, I don't want to say run away, but, I mean, sometimes you have people that they're like petrified to do an interview. So overall, I've been interviewing people for many, many years, so I'm very used to people that are very nervous. I try to just talk with them a little bit beforehand. But the truth is that the environment's kind of shitty sometimes. Like, I have like 12 seconds to be like, hey, what happened in the last hand, blah, 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 and then 3, 2, 1, live. Okay, I'm here with, so-and-so who just took down so it's tough. I mean, it's tough on me. Imagine on somebody who's just like, used to playing the game and not being like lights, camera, action all the time. But again, I think my best piece of advice for people that have the limelight on them is really, really to focus on what they're doing and to focus on the game and on the other person. It's like, and when you're being interviewed, the number one place you should put all your focus to kind of get like rid yourself of all the all the anxiety is the other person. It's like acting class. It's the number one thing they tell you, like focus on the other person. Like literally just zoom in, look right at them and listen to every word, because of course they're out there being like, am I sweating? Do I smell? Oh God, what did I say in that last question? Oh God, that was such a stupid answer. Okay, God, I hope this interview is good. I mean, you're in your head the whole time. So the best way to get out of your head is to put insane focus on the other person interviewing you. The more you do that, it's just, man, it goes like so much better for you when you don't. And the thing is, I always tell them, like, they don't have to look at the camera. Like, I'm interviewing them. They can just look right at me. I'm asking them the question. I'm not scary. I don't have like four heads. And my questions aren't like complete, like, you know, I'm not asking like really in-depth stuff and going into their childhood. Like, it's just real simple stuff. Like, what were you thinking on the turn when you made the call?
So do you think it's because they're nervous most of the time? So do you think because there was a lot of pressure because it's after the final table? Or do you just think that, you know, most of them are just nerds? Or like,
no, it's
most
fine.
of us, like all the internet generation, I mean...
Yeah, it's a mix of all that. Of course, of course you're a nerd. That's amazing. I mean, like, that's what I love about all of them, and like you and that's what I love. But of course, like, they're not used to being on camera, so there's so many there's a lot of nerves involved. Yeah, then you have people like Sam Trickett, and when it's like, oh, Marianela, you got to interview Sam, I'm like, yes, just because it's like I know that he's so used to being on camera, but that doesn't mean that like I have things against people that don't know. I just try to help them as much as I can. But really, I can only do so much. It's like, you know, eventually once they start being in the limelight a little bit more, they start to realize like, it's just Nella asking like 3 questions. It's fine. You know, but if you like start like looking at the cameraman and the jib operator and the lights and it's like, and I tell them all the time, like, I'm asking the question, just look at me. Like, the only person that has to address the camera is me. I'm the one that has to intro and outro out of this interview somehow, majestically. So you have nothing to worry about. All you have to do is answer the 3 questions. How does it feel? Like, what were you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. Like, are you happy with the way you played? Like, very simple questions.
Yeah, you know, I feel like some poker players, they just want to play their game and, you know, they don't care about the spotlight. And maybe one good example is Andy, who just said, no. Yeah. I don't want to do an interview.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is a lot of times. It's just, okay, I want to play my game. I lost it all, and then I'm done. And sometimes you think about your decisions and you're questioning yourself, and then it's not your main priority to look good on camera. You know?
Yeah, of course not.
Because also
I mean, Isildur really, here's a funny story on Isildur, Razvada. Took that down. I mean, the producers were like, Marianela, like, he literally won, you have to get him. And I'm like, no, you have to get him. I'm like, I'm live, I'm thinking about the question, I'm just getting the info on the hand because it's delayed for obvious reasons. But what's funny about Isildur is, like, even in person, it's like, of course, it's like a bit awkward sometimes. But I remember like him coming up to me and like literally out of nowhere, he was like, hey, why is the Cobb salad called the Cobb salad if there's no Cobb in it? And I was just like, fuck, where are the cameras? Like, Isildur's asking me why the Cobb salad's called the Cobb salad and there's no Cobb in it. Of course, if the camera was there, he'd be like, bye. You know, it would be like super awkward. But yeah, he just did not want to do the interview. And I'm like, guys, what do you want? Like a super awkward, just like, you know, let me just give the guy his trophy, say congrats, let him say like one word, which was like, yay or something. I don't even remember, honestly. But it's like, that's a perfect example of someone who's just, I don't even know how he made this insane call anyways, but yeah, his brain was like fried by the time I got to him, and it was just such an overwhelming thing, and like, you know, like, it's been up and down for him, but yeah, he's obviously like a fan favorite, and people on Twitch, because we were on Twitch, and they were like, Isildur, like they just wanted to hear from him talk, you know, they wanted information on him. So yeah, if I had to create my perfect idea of a poker show, it's what I've been telling everyone that I've worked with, is that these moments, like, I would love, especially since I love to connect online, and I've been doing social media for a long time. So, you know, feeding fans info, like whatever, or taking pictures, because I have no problem like just going up to Isildur and just snapping a pic while he's like asking me a question, and then being like, okay, at 2:44 p.m. in Rosendab, these were Isildur's famous words. Why is the Cobb salad called the Cobb salad? You know, like little things where it's like, we're here playing the game. Like, I was covering the 36-hour cash game, but I was like, guys, I want the viewers on Twitch to know that Gus Hansen has been playing open-faced Chinese for 72 hours straight, and I've only seen him move 2 times to go to the bathroom, like, because I know, because I've been here covering a 36-hour cash game. Like, things like that, where people, I'm like, do you guys know that Gus Hansen's here? He's legit not playing one freaking tournament, but he's playing open-faced Chinese with some dude, I don't even know who it is. I'll find the info, I'll figure out who this guy is. And like, he's been wearing like sweats and sandals for like 3 days straight. How are we not covering this? Like, I just want to get my phone and just be like, beam, and go live on Facebook and be like, hey guys, I'm here covering obviously a huge event, 36-hour, you know, we already know it's Leon causing issues, and like Sam Trinket being Sam, and, you know, ordering more alcohol and just being funny and awesome and whatever. But also, side note, James Dempsey just like basically stole every cupcake from the cupcake cart. Gus Hansen's playing open-faced Chinese in his flip-flops. I met Maria Lampropoulos for the first time, and we had a whole like Argentine reunion. Anyway, stuff like this. Like, this would be for me like you know, I know people just, they're like, oh, that's just behind the scenes, but I'm like, yeah, except it would really be like an in-depth behind the scenes of what's going on. You know, even in Vegas, it's like, hey guys, I'm back at the house. Like, everyone's prop betting on a soccer game.
But do you think the Bears would want this?
Well, I mean, I have yet to run into one player that like doesn't want to be talked about or like promoted in some kind of way. Obviously, if I'm saying like so-and-so pooped his pants, I mean, they may not want that out there, but like, that's not the case, you know.
Wow.
They're in a casino, it's like, you know, everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah, but you know, if you're there for like 3 days and you're wearing sandals and you don't shower, you don't change. I mean, I don't do that, but I also,
Yeah, well,
you know, I wouldn't want anybody to know.
Well, then change your clothes. I mean,
Of course.
I have a question for you. Since you were giving free advice without the management fee for the players, how about an advice for people who are on a feature table, who have the spotlight on them? Because I believe that they play different when they have that extra pressure. First of all, do you agree that they play different? What's your opinion on that?
100%. There's no way you're playing the same, and you know, like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of eyeballs are on you. There's just, it's, yeah. And again, actually, I might want to step back and like revert the question to you guys, because sometimes it's like there's strategic things that some players do when they know when they're being featured and when they know they've got eyeballs on them. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if that's something you guys want to answer or not. But yeah, through the grapevine, I've heard that some players basically play a certain way because they know they're being watched for strategic purposes. I guess that makes sense. Like, not to an extent where obviously they're going to do something insane, but yeah, I think it's really hard to play the same kind of game that you're playing, like at the Rio, when there's like 40 tables going on and everyone's just like, grabbing their chicken nuggets and like what, it's just very difficult. Of course, there's going to be a different game being played.
Yeah, to me, I think it doesn't change too much, like from the strategy standpoint. I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because whenever I was on a TV table, it was against very good guys, so experienced players. So I didn't feel like it changed much, but maybe it changes the dynamics a little bit, because one time I was at the final table and there was I think it was like 20 minutes delay, and it changes a little bit because, you know, then you watch everybody closely and then you can watch the stream in 20 minutes, and you have all your friends feeding you all the information. So whenever you watch somebody and you can see he's shaking, then you have it still in your memory, and you know, you can figure out what he was trying to do, if he was bluffing or whatnot. And you know, I think that changes a little. But you know, I wouldn't, you know, make a big hero call just because it's a TV table and I want to, you know, be famous or something. That's
yeah, no, it's more of the opposite, just like maybe changing a little bit of strategy so it's like your game isn't like fully exposed, because we're looking at whole cards and we're seeing all of your tick. I mean, it is like an extreme close-up of you. That's why I think that being at a final table is so incredibly draining for poker players to the like utmost degree, because there's such an intense amount of focus, because you know everyone's watching and nobody wants to look like an idiot. Obviously, everyone wants to play their best game, but it requires, like, I've never seen them more like laser focused. And then there's some that have like been at so many featured final tables that they're just kind of like, you know, just another day at the ball game or whatever. But in general, I noticed, like, you know, players that are like sweating profusely, but like really trying to keep it together and staying laser focused, because they don't, you know, they obviously don't want to come off as like, shit, I totally made that play, which is impossible. I mean, you can't just be perfect all the time. But I think nerves like play into that a lot, because you're also trying to keep your like tells under wraps, so to speak, and that's why you've got, you know, people that are what's the other German guy's name?
Christoph? You mean Christoph, the guy who covers, basically sits there covered like a guy from the South Park or something.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically like, sometimes you have to like check his pulse to see if he's still alive, because it's like there's absolutely, I can't even see breathing, nevertheless movement, plus there's like scarves, glasses, I mean, it's like the whole thing. And I remember for Triton, they had a policy of like suit and tie, and I was cracking up because I was like, can Christoph breathe? Because he put his tie like all the way, basically at his chin. Like his tie, I felt was like above his Adam's apple. It was like he even like somehow figured out to wear a suit and tie that like covered his neck. And I was just like, this guy's amazing.
But you got to give it to him, because he is amazing in a way. He's taking that part, that extra stress out of the game for himself.
Yeah. I mean, he's focused on, he's like, I don't care what I look like. I don't care if you don't like my scarf. I don't care about anything. I'm consistently reaching final tables, and I'm crushing it. And like, and it's true. And like the same thing about Brent. Say what you want about him, but I'm like, you know, he's got a different approach. He shows up for sure. And we were like, this is a black tie affair. If you make it to the Triton million, but like, you have to come black tie suited. He showed up in a jersey and Gucci flip-flops. I mean, I was dying. And all the other players were like, come on, man, you should be disqualified. But yeah, I mean, some people, you know, like they just want to feel comfortable. And it's like, for him, he already knows that he has tells that are going to be picked up. So he's like, I don't care what you think. I'm here to win. So it's like, I'm gonna stack the deck in my favor. I'm gonna cover up this neck. I'm gonna put on some glasses, and I'm gonna remain robot still throughout this whole thing and try to take it down. And yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the tournament. You know, when you play a party poker event, and there's a lot of, I wouldn't say inexperienced players, but yeah, maybe some recreational players, and it's their first time on TV, then, you know, maybe it's a little different, and you adjust your strategy a little bit, and you don't make hero calls against them because you know that they might not have the guts to triple barrel bluff in that spot. But you know, if you play high rollers, it's not really different. You know.
So now,
that's my opinion at least.
yeah, I mean, people need to adapt to the tournament for sure, but how about an advice to them in terms of how to deal with the pressure of the camera, like how to get it out of your head? Because that's obviously something that you need to do now professionally.
Yeah, well, it's the same, honestly, it's the same tip that I would give myself. Like, of course, I have to direct camera when I'm like, hey, I'm here with so-and-so, but then all of my focus, all of it, every ounce of it, up until I have a producer screaming in my ear saying, we got to get to commercial, or all of it is on the player. I'm asking the question, I'm not thinking about the next question. I'm asking the question, I'm looking right into their face, I'm listening to every single word they say, and that's why I do a lot of follow-up questions, because forget my second question. This guy just gave me gold, and now I want to dig more. He just gave me like a bit of information that's amazing. And I feel like that's, you know, like someone who really knows how to interview is really going to be a good listener. Sometimes the time is really tight, and they're like, dude, you have max 2 questions, and you got to get out of there. I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to get as deep as I can, but obviously sometimes it's very flat because I only have like 30 seconds, and then I have to cut, and then they have to go right back to the table. When I have more time, I put the focus on them. So the same thing with a player. It's like the last thing you ever need to be thinking about is like, I'm on TV. The only place you should have laser focus is like on the other people at the table, on what's going on at the table, and that's it. And on your game, it's like and of course I know that, you know, players have their phones because they're being fed info after the delay, and that, of course that makes sense. But the more you focus on the other person, on the other people at the table, on the actual game in hand, it's like the better off you're going to be, because a lot of people do get in their heads about like, how do I look? What's going on? Do people see what's happening? And it's only normal. I mean, obviously I say this and it sounds very easy to do, but it is a really good tip. It's like to really, really pay attention to what's going on around you, and that's it. Not to what's going on like down on the floor or with the cameraman or whatever. Honestly, that's the best advice I can give. Like when I watch Chidwick play, I mean, I could stare at that guy for like 14 hours, but I'm just like, is this person like a human being? He's so focused on getting information that I think he forgets that he's like on television, that I'm interviewing him. I don't know. He's just so, yeah, he's somebody who does a lot of meditation, which I would also highly recommend to help you really be in a relaxed state before you get into that environment. And then remaining extremely positive throughout and really just staying laser focused. And you can't stay laser focused if you haven't gotten sleep, if you haven't done some sort of meditation or relaxation. You don't have to go out and like, you know, say hum and like, you know, hold your middle finger to your thumb and do anything. You know, it's not about that. It's more about like doing something that's going to fully relax you and then coming in like feeling good, well fed, rested, so that you can focus, like not on a camera, but on the game. And Chidwick's like a perfect example of that. Like he's also not necessarily like super comfortable in front of the camera, but I remember in Barcelona, I think it was Barcelona. Yeah, he took down, I don't even, man, there's so many tourneys, I don't remember which one, but he basically went into this whole diatribe about how, you know, he loves his grandfather and like he's doing this for his grandfather, and the reason he started playing was his grandfather, and like, I mean, I almost like cried. I was just like, what? Is this like a Chidwick interview? What's happening? Because he's usually very like just to the point. But at that time, it's like, yeah, he was overwhelmed with like a good emotion, and like he was willing to share it with me. So for my other question, it was just like all about what he was telling me about his grandfather, and that, you know, he was going to be a new dad. He was going to be a dad. He was going to be a dad, and so that's where I went. That's where I went with the question. And yeah, to be honest, like I got a little bit of heat from producers where it was like, why did you ask me about? I'm like, forget about the hand. Like this guy's telling me about his grandfather, and that he's like super emotional, and he made this win for him, and like his grandfather meant everything to him. Like then you want me to talk about like, yeah, but what happened on the river on that last hand? Like it's not a good segue. Like I mean, just like it's hard sometimes, you know. I'm like, I mean, we could just text that on a chat on Twitch, but right now it's like if I have Chidwick willing to open up, like I'd rather talk to Chidwick about whatever he's really feeling instead of, you know, the freaking hand. They can rewatch the hand or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. You know what I've been thinking here about, and I want your opinion on this. It looks like, you know, in the poker world, in the poker business, there's a divide between incentives. Like if we think about other sports, let's say for golfers to give interviews and to look good, etc., makes sense because they want the sponsorship money.
Right.
The prize money is a part of the deal, but the sponsorship money is pretty good thing. In poker, there's not so much sponsorship money, really. If you want to play a big tournament, well, you just need to buy in, right? There's no qualification, nothing. So a lot of people who play tournaments, and especially cash games, like cash game players usually don't even do any interviews unless they want to up their image through a show like Poker After Dark or High Stakes Poker. But in general, there's no real incentive to have media interaction. So mostly it's just distracting and annoying. Because you've mentioned one point where, you know, in these breaks, when people would rather catch up with what their friends are feeding them on the phone about the information that they got from the delay, and instead they have to interact with you or somebody else. What can be done about it? Because I think there is this sort of lack of incentive from people. So, you know, the viewers, they do expect entertainment. They do expect emotions. But the players not necessarily want to share all those things.
Yeah, and that's why, again, I'll be very personal here, but this is some of the big discussions that I get into with some producers. Because they're saying, you got to grab so-and-so. I'm like, so-and-so doesn't want to talk. Don't you see them? They don't want to talk. It's like, why don't I just grab Sam again? Or why don't I grab, because at the end of the day, I feel like if you're not adding value, what is the point? If I'm going to be like, you know, basically just completely like clawing at a person to get an answer out of them, what is enjoyable to watch about that? Nothing. I want to talk to the person that's more than willing to talk, that's super excited. Oh man, this is my first, even if they're a little nervous, it's okay. But somebody who's like actually stoked, because you got to remember a lot of these guys, well, you guys know, but it's like every poker player I meet is like, oh, I'm the best heads up PLO player. I'm like, okay, you're like the 1700 person that's told me that. But it's like every player really thinks like they're the best, and they want to be recognized. And when a player that usually doesn't make it to a final table makes it to a final table, that's happened in Montreal. Don't ask me the name, I don't remember it. But like one of the players that made it to one, I mean, sorry, there's so many tournaments. This guy's like awesome. He like owns not Ethereum, but he's like, you know how like Bitcoin.
That would be great.
The guy owns Ethereum and he's stoked about the final table in Montreal. I think his priorities are a bit wrong.
If Bitcoin is like an app, he's like Apple or whatever. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The guy's awesome. He made it to a final table. He was like super excited. And he like wanted to share his excitement. And it was a great freaking interview. And then there's another guy that I'm not going to name that's like, dude, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I don't want you to talk to me. Like, I just want you to go back and focus on your game. And there are rejections, like not to me, but they'll be like, no. Like they'll tell the producer, like, no, I don't want to. And then of course they'll use me and they'll be like, oh no, Marianela, just go up to his leader. Like he likes you, like he talks to you, like just go. And I'm like, guys, like if this person's taking it down, okay, like I'll try to rally a little bit more. But if not, I'm actually a fan of respecting the player's request. Like if he doesn't want to talk at all, like you're not going to get anything good out of him. It's going to be a bad interview and it's not worth it.
What about the opposite, by the way? Do they tell you sometimes, you know, this guy isn't that interesting, you shouldn't talk to him? Or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are hams, but it's not that they're not interesting. They'll just be like, oh, we already heard from him. we really want to get Truth Teller, or we really want to get this other guy. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but if they don't want to talk, and sometimes, you have to be you have to walk on eggshells. Like sometimes, even with Truth Teller, like I was like, hey, I'd love to chat. And he's like, now's not a good time. I'm going to come talk to you after the break. I said, perfect, thanks. I'll be right here. Cool. And then it's like, you're flexible. That's why, like, there's no such thing as a lunch break for me, because I just have to be on call all the time, because maybe he doesn't want to talk then, or like Nikita, he's like, no, I'm really like not feeling it right now. I'm really fucking pissed, and like I'll talk to you maybe like in 2 levels. And I'm like, perfect.
Don't you think that's also great for TV sometimes when somebody's really mad? And
no,
maybe that's also what they want to see.
Yeah, I mean, no, because they just come off like there's no, you just get nothing. They're just like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm not on tilt. Like, I remember one time the producer in my ear screaming like, oh my God, you gotta get, and I don't remember who it was, but he's like, you gotta get on tilt. He's so on tilt. He's so on tilt right now. Just talk about how on tilt he is. And of course, remember, sometimes if you wonder why I come off like an idiot, it's because I have to depend on other people giving me information. I don't see the action happening real time. So of course, this guy, we're live, and I'm just like, hey, so I know after that last hand, you must be like super on tilt. He's like, nope, not at all. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good.
Okay, but was he pretending to?
No, he was like, no, I'm not on tilt at all. Like that's like so standard.
So he really wasn't on tilt.
Right. But it's like the people are like, oh, I mean, the producers reading it were like, yeah, oh man, I can't believe that happened. And he's like, that happens like 80% of the time. And I'm like, oh, okay. Cool, thanks for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of like supporting what the player wants. And it's like, I personally, as an interviewer, like, I don't want them to look like an asshole. I don't want to be like clawing at somebody or holding their hand. I want to talk to somebody who wants to fucking talk. If you don't want to talk, cool. Go sit down. We'll get a wide shot of you like on your phone, and then I can just do like a simple thing like, I know people want to hear from Truth Teller. He doesn't really feel like talking. He's super focused on the game. Obviously, he's like talking to his team or whoever he's like relying on to get information, blah, blah, blah. Something cool like that I think is so much more, I don't know, so much better than like forcing someone to talk, and then of course, the trolls, and they're like, oh, that was awkward. Oh my God, that interview was so awkward. It's like, of course it was awkward. He didn't want to talk, idiots. Like, can't you tell? Like, he's furious. Clearly, the whole thing was awkward. Anyways, but trolls.
I mean, that has to be the worst situation you can be in. You busted in the tournament.
Yeah.
You were really pissed, and then you have to talk in front of the camera. And you don't really want to talk, but you kind of have to.
Yeah, try being me. Having to like sort of. I'm just like, oh man, obviously this isn't like, where you wanted to be, but overall, are you happy with your game? I mean, it's tough to like really manage those interviews. It's really tough.
So Nella, I feel like you want to talk about trolls. You had your little moment about trolls.
Trolls. They're so fun. Yeah, I mean, on the Twitch stream, we had, oh man. I mean, some things have to get blocked because some of my trolls were like, said not like rated PG stuff. So like, yeah, there's, sometimes there's those kind of trolls and it can be a little yikes. But in general, I feel like, yeah, I mean, the guy that's like sitting at his computer willing to say anything, it's just laughable because I'm like, nowhere in near the scene or, but yeah, they obviously, like, that's the whole point of social media is to engage. So I'm not saying you should be like engaging with trolls, but it's like, that's what keeps the conversation going sometimes. It's like they want to be heard. So you have to be like, oh, killer dig, man. Yeah, you're right. Like, whatever, I mean, I've gotten so many different, crazy.
I guess after all those years in TV, you have a thick skin, but was there ever a comment that really hurt you?
Oh man, I don't like.
Or do you just be like, nah?
I mean, they're all, because it's so funny to me, especially. Man, I should have kept some of these because they were, like I said, some were like, I wouldn't even feel comfortable saying them on the podcast because they're just like
what? Like on the sexual front, you're just like, wait, what did this person say? Like, wow, this person clearly hasn't been on a date like in their life. But yeah, then there's like the standard, like, oh, that's the worst. Like, clearly you don't know anything. And it's like, no, I had 12 seconds to do an interview and I got fed the wrong information. But no, yeah, totally. You must know more than I. So yeah, you can't really pay too close attention to it. And to be honest, like, it's been pretty good, like, for me on the troll front in general. But yeah, it's just people that are speaking that are for sure like you're, you know, like just clanking on the keyboard like in their basement or whatever, for sure, that have nothing better to do, that just don't have all the information. So they're just spurting out, and they want to be recognized. Like, they want the Twitch administrator to be like, okay, now this is your first warning. And then they're like, oh man, I didn't even say anything that bad. And you're just like, dude, really? Like, you need this much attention? You gotta like up your trollness. Come on, man. If you want to get banned, you gotta say something really awful. But yeah, no, there were, like, again, like some of the things that got banned for me personally were some of the more sexual, like, whoa, where it was like not acceptable to have all the stream. And then there were some pretty nasty trolls out there for the players. But that's, I mean, or they're gonna be like, oh, that guy looks like an idiot. Oh, he's just the worst. Oh, what, you know, what a fish. And then even for some of the female players, some really nasty stuff too. So it's just like, it's just bullies that like are really just complete fucking losers, to be honest. Like, there's no other word. It's like, you're not playing a game, you're not doing a tourney, you're not even playing online, you're literally just watching a stream, like, being mean. Like, okay, I'm so sorry for your childhood. Like, I don't know what happened, but
Oh man!
Do you think there's
we definitely should call our show "Oh, It's So Rude."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, welcome to Oh, It's So Rude.
Oh, it's so rude.
Phils and Tobi here.
But it would take a lot from a troll to get banned on this one. Like, you really have to cross the line, because if the name of the show is already "You're So Rude," then it's basically...
Right.
No, we even encourage that.
Yeah.
We want to hear the best thoughts.
I think me and Tobi are going to be very good at tackling the trolls, because we mostly don't even read the chat.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome, but again, remember, it's people that like want attention. Like, that's how you feed trolls.
Right.
It's like, trolls are hungry, and the only way they grow is like, you have to feed them, and the only way to feed them is to like pay attention to them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing you can do, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, okay, Marty 4872, you are banned for 5 minutes. I mean, that's what they want, right?
I mean, the best
Yeah, that's
is like,
ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I totally like fuck with the trolls and they'll be like, oh, that dress is the worst. I was like, I know, I fucking hate it. They made me wear this and I look like a cow. Like, I don't even understand why they have me wearing like white stripes and like black. And then they don't know what to say because they're like, wait, is this Marianela? I'm like, yeah. No, I like literally agree with you. This dress is so fucking ugly and I don't know why they made me wear it. I mean, like, yeah, just every once in a while I'll like engage just to be, but yeah, I'm never like, oh my god, my feelings hurt. I'm like, okay, after 18 years of TV, like, the only thing that you can do to scare me, which has happened, is like physically show up and try to like assault me, which, yes, that, like, unfortunately I've had some really nasty, not a lot, I mean, 2 situations in New York where it was pretty scary, and like restraining orders and whatever, but like, yeah, like, physically the person like tried to like grab me and like it was so scary. But apart from that, like nothing else. I mean, like, can you imagine if I went through that? Like, you think a troll on Twitter is gonna bother me? I'm like, yeah, no.
Oh well. And by the way, I have to say that Robbie recognized my little joke there about that we're not reading the chat, because he instead reacted. I hope he reacted to that. Maybe he just reacted to someone else. Robbie, you know I like you. We do read the chat. All the other people, I read the chat. I actually do. So the guest today is. Oh yeah. Right.
You gotta have a king troll.
Yeah. No, Ravi's not a troll. Ravi is our special guy. He's here every week. Gotta love him. And yeah, so we have a question, who's the guest today? I'm gonna pull up your Twitter thing again. It's Marianela. She's a TV host. The show's almost over, so we're not gonna go through all the introductions, but we can read up on Twitter.
But wait, isn't there going to be a highlight show on YouTube?
There is gonna be a highlight show on YouTube on Sunday. We're publishing.
That goes up.
Is it? I'm gonna pick up the parts. I'm gonna edit this one and put all the rude parts on and leave all the rest. So it's just basically gonna make it like a 7-minute horrible thing when you're just basically talking about the trolls, and then we cut to, all right, have a good night, everyone.
Perfect.
That kind of thing. Oh man. Listen, I want to know about Slash, because you've mentioned you interviewed Slash, and I knew you interviewed Kanye West and Eminem, and I wasn't impressed. I don't care, but you interviewed Slash.
That's just
really?
rude. Hey, that's rude.
That's rude.
You interviewed Slash. Come on. I need to know.
Yeah, dude. What a cool. Oh man, so cool. He was so cool. Yeah, Slash and Duff came on the show when I was doing the live show in New York, and obviously, apart from being a huge fan, but I vividly remember that moment because he walked onto the set, we were about to go live, and then I was like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to ask him when we're live. And there's a reel, I mean, you can see if you, I guess you have to Google my name, Marianela and Daily Download, but if you Google Marianela and Daily Download, the YouTube video will come up with like all the clips, at least some of the clips from Daily Download, the show I did for Fuse. And I believe that clip's still in there where I look at Slash and I'm like, tú eres un pendejo. He had a shirt on that said, tú eres un pendejo, which in Spanish is, you are an asshole. And I was like, oh, tú eres un pendejo. And then I said it live on TV because I was like, it's America, nobody understands. And then he goes, yeah. And he's like, you are my friend. And I was like, no, that's not what that says. And he just like starts cracking up. Anyways, it was my moment with Slash. No, he's so cool. Then I went to go see him. I went to go see them perform live. And then I went to see him again when he was, I interviewed like Velvet Revolver and like Scott Weiland at the time. And oh man, those were some epic times. But yeah, I went to see him at this, I don't even remember. I think it was like a Clive Davis event, and they were performing live. That's all I remember. And I remember I was like front row, like Slash hair just shredding, like shredding above me, and I was just in heaven. And I'm like, oh my god, with his like sick guitar. I got the picture somewhere. I'll find it and I will send it to you guys, since I didn't know Slash.
I want that picture. Yes, please.
Yes, we'll have it on the next podcast, and we'll just put, oh my
absolutely.
God, so rude. But guess what happened with Slash? Yeah, and he was off. Like again, that's why I'm like, it's nothing against like poker players, but it's like after interviewing people like Metallica, that moment was epic. And like all these, like, I don't know, everyone, like Beyonce, Marilyn Manson, and Rob Zombie, and all these like amazing, Robert Smith from The Cure, Green Day, and just people that I guess I was never nervous about interviewing them because I'm such a big music head, and I really value, I feel like they're just so insanely talented. Not all of them, but the majority of them.
Who isn't?
So, I don't know. There's some bands that came on that I was like, what? I mean, these people are just like, I never heard this song in my life, and of course we never heard from them again, and I couldn't even remember their name. A bunch of emo bands that like didn't make it, basically.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. But anyways, you interview people like that, and they're all so kind and so sweet and so awesome, like Busta Rhymes and 50 Cent and Gwen and Beyonce. And then it's like you interview a poker player, and they're just like, I can't talk to you right now. I have to get my farm-raised salmon, and my people talk to your people, and we'll schedule an interview time. And I'm just like, okay, dude, I interviewed Slash. Like, I don't want to, like, we'll never see you again in 4 years. Like, I just don't know. Like, please get off your throne. So.
Talk to my people. That's amazing. That's another name for our show. That's the name for our highlights reel.
Talk to our people.
Talk to our people. That's the highlights for the So Rude show. Basically, it's so rude that you're gonna have to talk to our people afterwards.
Talk to our people.
I mean, that is a great line. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal it.
Right. Listen, Nella, we got, first of all, the chat sorted out the spelling thing on your Twitter. Traveling is spelled with one, and it's correct in the United States. So
it is.
Just letting you
What's
know,
the deal with that?
because, well, no, it's fine. In the States, it's fine. In the UK, it's no good. So.
I thought you were saying it has two. Yes, sorry. Like technically, I was in California for 11 years,
right. So we got it sorted out. So here you go. I'm just reporting.
My Euro trolls, my little Euro trolls. Aw.
But anyway,
did you see the really hot Brazilian chick? My pinned tweet.
The what?
My pinned tweet of the Brazilian chick doing drills, like doing dribbles.
Okay, sensitive. No. Shall we watch it?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that one did well. I got like
Say what?
34,000 views. My pinned tweet. It's this chick. I'm like obsessed with her. No, I'm not a lesbian. Relax, guys. I'm just like I was doing this soccer show. I was covering the Women's World Cup this summer, like I told you, in Copa America, and I was trying to get my dribble on while I was going back and forth from Vegas, where Tobi and like all the Germans were housed in this awesome house that we rented in Vegas, and then I was like, no joke, taking the Flixbus because it's the easiest. The Flixbus back to LA wasn't bad. It was like a 4-hour trip, but it was the easiest. Like Tobi would drop me off at the bus station. I would hop on a Flixbus, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, boom, like not having to deal with airports, check-in, TSA, and then I would just head to LA and I would, do that back and forth to do the show. And it was all football, of course. So anyway, they did like a dribbling challenge, and when I was in Vegas, like the guys were trying to teach me to dribble, and I was having a hard time. But anyways, then I found this Brazilian girl in her heels, and I was just like, is this chick real life? So, anyways, just a little side note. Somebody who wants.
It's very impressive because our viewers are basically watching that right now. Yeah, it is fucking impressive, really.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's give her some props.
Yeah, and by the way, Robbie is saying that Messi is the golden boot. I guess
His sixth ballon. Vamos, Messi, carajo! 6 ballon d'or. Listen, guys, numbers don't lie. And head to shoulders, this is the greatest footballer on earth. And if you want to troll me on that, go ahead and hit me up at Marianela TV.
But to be fair, I think Lewandowski deserves it.
Like I said.
Like one time.
I mean, it was close. I mean, if there was one time where it was close. But, Messi clinched it. He's the greatest.
So who's the greatest poker player that you've interviewed?
Oh, man. Actually, I guess, like, it's so hard because I don't know, like, greatest as in, like, who I think Tobi is.
Who you think is the greatest? Yeah, exactly. We're not doing, the full Academy Award kind of thing and people voting. It's who do you think?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that like it's a hard question because it's like greatest as in what, like who I think is like the absolute best player, or who I think was just like an awesome all-around person, or my favorite interviewer. I mean, yeah, it's a tough question. I mean, like I said, from back in the day, my interviews with Devilfish, I think were hands down. Like he was one of my favorite humans in the poker world. And I know that's very old school, so people are like, what? Who is that? Yeah, it's so hard. It's hard to, that's a hard question. I guess I'll have to like really think into my data bank of all my interviews. But I mean, off the top of my head, of course, I'm thinking about people that I like so enjoyed chatting with,
So Devilfish was basically the top of the list for those, right?
Huh?
Devilfish was basically top of the list for those.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of personality, right?
Oh yeah, of course. That's what I mean. Like just overall, like super enjoyment. I mean, as far as like who I think wizards are, I mean, for me, Chidwick. I don't know, like Truth Teller, Nikita. It's hard. It's very hard. Like it changes so much, and I'm like, I have so many different like decades of poker in me. So it's a little weird. I don't know. Like I'd have to like. That's a really tough question. The greatest poker player, because again, I guess it's all relative. It changes all the time. So of course, I'm just thinking selfishly for me, like who I've had the most fun with, and like who's been a great interviewee, and that's of course been like Negreanu. I mean, even Hellmuth, because he's like hilarious. You know, I'm just like, oh, what are you crying about now? And he just always plays the camera. He makes my job so easy. Sam Trinket makes my job so easy. Like so many players that are just a complete delight to interview, because they make my job so incredibly easy, and we have so much fun on camera. Bryn Kenny was like super cool. I interviewed his mom like for the Triton event, and she like, oh my god, she was a sweetheart. She like went on about how like all Bryn's childhood life story, and that was another discussion I had with the producer where they were like, no, we don't want all that. We just like no, like we just, and I'm like, okay, well, I want it. I want to hear it. So I'm just gonna keep the interview going, okay? For selfish reasons. But yeah, I will put a pin on that question.
Don't you think Doug Brunton is an absolute goat?
Absolutely. I mean, that interview was just like, oh my god! I told you I wore a cowboy hat just to honor him, just to have the interview. I got my hair in braids and like put on a cowboy hat. That's also on my reel. Which one of my reels on my site, but yeah, if you go to Marianela.tv, there's like a bunch of whatever, NASCAR, ESPN, whatever you're into, click on that and you'll see me in different like lights, so to speak. But yeah, on the reel I have for poker, I have a little like yeehaw moment with Doyle, because he had busted out, and I was like, what would make you feel better? Maybe a little yeehaw. And he's like, yeah, that would make me feel great actually. And I was just like, yeehaw, and I gave a little yeehaw to Doyle and like lifted my cowboy hat. Anyways, anything for Doyle. He's a sweetheart. So yeah, tough question. Adam, stop it with these tough questions.
Well, but you know why it's a tough question? Because what's the metric here, right?
Right.
Who's voting? Who decides? You know, there's no such thing as a World Cup, really, for the poker players.
Right.
And who cares anyway?
And more importantly, that's so rude. No.
That's so rude. No, but
I mean, 2 minutes
honestly,
ago you asked the question, and now
Yeah.
but who cares?
No, but I asked the question for her personally, what she thinks or who she felt was the greatest is probably a bad word, like the most, you know, the most interesting to meet, you know. But who cares who's the greatest? I don't. Anyway, that's my point. I don't care. What I care about is I need a picture of Slash. And I need a picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that picture.
And a picture of Devilfish and you as well.
I do. That's actually on my. I'll send you the link to my.
No. Don't send me the link. Send me the
reel.
picture. I need the picture. Okay. No link.
Have you ever met him?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No. I wish I had, but he's dead now. So it's a bit hard now. He's absolute legend. And for you, those of you guys who don't know Devilfish, all I can say, read his book. It's amazing. He's a legend.
He's a legend. So cool.
Yeah, friends of mine told me a lot of great stories about him. But also, didn't meet him.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, how about Nella? Do you have any top tip for the listeners and for all of us nerds?
As far as what, just
as far as if you have one chance to make our lives better, you know, to help us in this cruel world, what would be your advice? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if poker's really what you want to do, man, you gotta go like all in, dive in the pool head first, no water. I mean, there is no other option. If it's really what you want to do, there's no other option. And your money is so well spent, really, like on finding a coach, on really like accelerating your game. Because nowadays, like, if you're not almost working at like computer accelerated speeds, it's like it's so hard to keep up with the curve. So yeah, I mean, it's probably the biggest all-in you'll ever make. It's like it's so intense. Like I'm sorry, there's like no way to sugarcoat it. that's for people listening that like really are like, okay, I want to be the best. I really just want to be the greatest player ever. And I was like, okay, well, very little sleep and a lot of grinding. But yeah, I don't know about tips for other stuff. I have so many tips on like social media and that growth, and I have even more tips on like just health and life and all that. But I don't know. Like I said, it's a weird thing. Like on Twitter, I don't keep up with it much. I mean, obviously, since Twitch, you're promoting my Twitter. It's like, okay, it's Marianela TV, and I'll do a lot more of like sports posting on that. But even with sprinkled in a bunch of like mindfulness, meditation, health stuff. But yeah. And then at the Foodist on Instagram is like really all my travel wellness stuff. So it's a very different world, but I feel like, again, in order, even Chidwick, it's like, I bring up Chidwick again because he was so, and even Jason Kuhn, these are two guys that are like massively dedicated to like regularly staying active in the morning, regularly doing a meditation practice. Both their wives are amazing. They would bring them like incredibly high quality, like not necessarily plant-based, some plant-based, more for Chidwick, but just really amazing quality food. I mean, they put so much investment into their body and their mind, and I think that's why they also excel, apart from being complete maniacs that like, yeah, are constantly studying and playing whatever, living it every second. But anyways, yeah, just like an overall tip in general, just from watching some of the greatest players, apart from the massive persistency and like dedication and commitment and focus, Petrangelo as well. These are guys that are like already at the top and they never stop learning. So there's no stopping in learning. There's no like, oh, I made it to no, those variants, like, no, you got to keep going. But yeah, they really are dedicated at like taking care of their body and their mind. So you're gonna run out of fuel. You're gonna run out like you're gonna run on empty, and then it's all gonna be over. So I think taking care of your body and your mind is number one. That's another reason I struggled with like doing poker for so long, because it's such an unhealthy lifestyle. You're sitting in 90-degree angles. We're not meant to be sitting in isolated rooms with like formaldehyde with like fluorescent lighting. We are not built as human beings to behave this way. So if you want to be a good poker player, of course, you're going to spend a lot of time on your screen studying, but it's like you can also, whatever course you're taking, keep it moving. Listen to a podcast, like get a coach, but you can put on your headphones and like go for a walk, go for a jog. There's so many ways to like intake information now. When you have to sit down and grind, you have to sit down and grind, but it's like, get a yoga ball to sit on. Like there's different things that you can do. I'm a huge fan of the Verrier Balance chair. I had one in California, and like, I don't know. I think there's so many adjustments you can make so that your health isn't taking a big hit. Because at the end of the day, nothing matters if you don't have your health. Nothing at all. Like I did a whole podcast with a buddy of mine who had cancer, and it's like it's almost like you don't value health until sickness comes. That's why I'm so passionate about it. But yeah, I've seen so many players just completely nosedive because they did nothing to take care of their body, and the body's an amazing organism. But at a certain age, that's it. Like it reaches a point where like you've done so much damage to it that recovering now is super hard. So it's like you want to prevent that. You want to really take care of yourself. So this is Dr. Nella signing out.
Yeah, well,
sorry,
I think
I'm passionate about it.
But I think it's a great advice, starting with the fact that, you really have to dive in, like basically go all in on poker if you really want to achieve something in the game.
Yeah.
Kind of have to burn your bridges in a way. And your advice about health and taking care of your health as a poker player, I can totally relate to that. I think it's super important, and it's so overlooked by so many people. And like you said, you don't value the health until you get sick. And it's so easy to fuck it up as a poker player. Just, sitting, especially online poker player, just sitting all day in front of your PC, uncomfortable chair, eating crap food, all that stuff.
It's like, dude, make the investment. Like you just, you know what I mean? You decided to play outside your bankroll and whatever, make the investment. Like Tobi, he's got the desk that's like slightly more expensive, but it's the sit down, stand up one. Stand up, like make the investment, get that fucking desk, do it, make the investment, get the ergonomic chair, get the variable lawns, get 3 different types of seats to keep it fun and interesting, to keep your abs like activated. When I'm sitting on the yoga ball chair, like your abs are activated the entire time. Then you'll get tired, cool, stand up. You know, like, and obviously the best thing you can do, and I know it's extremely almost impossible if you're a tournament player, is you gotta like move around, even if it's like just for 5 minutes, to take that 5-minute break. And I know you guys are given 5-minute breaks, but not nearly enough time. Not nearly often enough. But yeah, make the environment as healthy as you can for you. Be surrounded in nature, like open up your windows. Don't be like under fluorescent lighting. Like just try to, and then of course, when you're not playing poker, you should be active. You should be moving, because that whole sitting at a 90-degree angle, it's going to catch up with you. When you start suffering from chronic pain, like I did for so many years, like believe me, you're not going to care about poker or anything else for that matter, because you're going to be in so much pain. So yeah, that's why I always throw out that quote, like, nobody values, you don't value health until sickness comes. But when sickness comes, it's pretty nasty. So yeah, do everything you can to kind of like shift your environment. Even like, snacking on shitty food. Don't snack on shitty food. Like, make the Whole Foods order, or wherever you are, like make the delivery, order the more expensive, I always say, like, pay the farmer now or the surgeon later. Yeah, I mean, you have to. Even I was talking to Bryn lately, like, and he's still, like, of course, he's someone who, like, parties, goes out, but he also loves travel. He's a huge fan of Japan and Japanese fashion as well. But he said to me, he's like, yeah, I'm just focusing a lot more lately on, like, meditating a lot more and eating better, because it's just affecting my overall mood, which affects my play at the table. So, and that's Bryn. And it's like, listen, it's gonna happen. Like, if you're one of the guys, if you're starting to play poker and it goes really well for you, like, of course you're gonna have benders, you're gonna go out, you're gonna meet a million girls, you're gonna be a complete, like, quote unquote poker rock star for a while. Then you're gonna feel like shit, and then you're gonna be too tired, and then you're gonna start playing bad. I mean, it's eventually all gonna catch up with you, and then you do like a cleansing, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna be a grown up now, and actually like try to make this a living and like sustainable for me. So, I mean, what kind of poker player do you want to be? Do you want to be the one that like rages hard, parties, and has like, a 3-year lifeline? Or do you want to be one where it's like, dude, this is my job. I'm my own boss. I've been doing it for 15 plus years, and like, longevity. You can't sustain that kind of a lifestyle for too long. So, doesn't mean you can't go out and party. Guys, I'm not like an old, like, never party person, okay? Tobi's like, yeah, you are.
All right, guys, listen, it's been so much fun. By the way, Robbie is taking your advice to heart. He's running right now while watching the stream.
Wait, I love, who is this guy, Robbie?
Robbie.
No, I love him. He should be. We should get him a throne, or like a crown.
Well, he has a little sword in the chat because he
can
do things. I don't know what the sword. He can slash people and cut all the trolls down. I don't know.
I think he should be on the podcast one day.
One day we're gonna get Robbie on the podcast. Sure.
He deserves it.
Who's gonna be in the chat if he's here? That sucks.
I'll go on the chat.
Right. Listen, guys, I had so much fun. This was a So Rude show, was it?
Yeah, that's so rude.
That's a So Rude show.
Watch the, what was it? Talk to our people highlights.
Talk to our people. Yeah, exactly. Talk to our people. And talk to our people about the health and stuff. It's great advice. It's been so much fun. Tobi, you have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I enjoyed the show so much, and like we have a lot of options for a clickbaity title. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Should be good at that.
And if all else fails, just put that hot Brazilian girl doing dribbles.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be our basically next 2 hours next week. Whatever the topic, because we're actually next week we're gonna have our friend who's a very successful poker player and a golf pro. So that hot Brazilian chick is just gonna fit right in as a visual.
Perfect.
It just
That's
personalizes, the whole thing. Anyway,
so
guys, thank you all for watching. Thank you for participating in the chat. some people, wait, what's the name? The Way of the Devil? The Way of the Devil is going to be in the chat when Robbie's coming on the stream, he said. So we got that.
Perfect.
We got that covered as well. Yeah, so things are looking up. I mean, new name for the show, new name for the highlight reel.
There's going to be GoPros. I mean, it's going to get crazy.
And we have 2 drones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of 1.
Yeah. And maybe one day Tobi is going to get a better microphone as well. So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Oh, it's not easy to get one here in Argentina.
No, don't worry. I got a pro one for him when we get back to Germany.
Yeah, but I heard stories about the Argentinian shops. Anyway, let's not get into that discussion. Let's just leave that Messi is the best football player of all time. He's Argentinian. Who cares about not being able to buy a microphone in that country when you have Messi?
Yeah, come on. 6 Ballon d'Or, just eat it, everyone.
But wait, is he better than Maradona?
I mean, yeah, that's like the Pele, Maradona, Messi thing. If you want to have that argument, also meet me on Twitter. The post show.
Okay.
Post show. Anyways, thank you for having me on. That was super fun. And shout out to the trolls that are still tuning in. Also, hello. Where would we be without you?
All right, guys. We're off. We'll see you next week, same time. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.